Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, which means it's Women of the Bible Wednesday. And today we are taking a look at the story of Rebekah. She was the wife of Isaac, daughter-in-law of Abraham and Sarah, and mother of twins, Jacob and Esau. Interestingly, she speaks the most words of any woman in the book of Genesis, and one of the few women who converses back and forth with God. And when you read her story, you discover she is not the stereotypical biblical woman of God, even though she was devoted to him. Truth is, she's often tossed aside, seen as manipulative and cunning, which she is a bit. But honestly, there really is so much more to the woman than it seems. And so, let's delve into her life and see what we can discover, okay? Her story begins in Exodus 24. When Abraham's son Isaac is old enough, Abraham sends a servant to Mesopotamia where his brother Nahor lives in search of a bride for Isaac. On the way, the servant prays for God to help him find the right girl. And sure enough, no sooner is he done praying that Nahor's granddaughter Rebekah appears, and the servant is elated. She is a picture of feminine beauty and strength in every way, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. And as she begins to water the camels, a task, by the way, that would have taken considerable time, drawing and pouring along with physical strength and endurance, the servant immediately adorns her with gifts and jewelry, including bracelets and, get this, a gold nose ring. And she proceeds then to invite the servant to stay at her home. And it's there the servant explains who he is and why he's there. And the marriage pact is made. And Rebekah is asked to pack up her belongings and travel a pretty long distance to begin a life with Isaac, a man she didn't know. And she does. And as they journeyed, I wonder if she thought about this man she just promised herself to. Would he treat her well? Would he be a good father? Was he good looking? When the caravan finally pulls up, she spots a man in the field and is told that's him, that's Isaac. She gets down off the camel, puts a veil across her face, and runs to him. The servant tells Isaac about what happened, and Isaac takes her into the tent of his deceased mother Sarah and has sex with her, and Rebekah becomes his wife. Just like that. No big wedding, no dress, no cake, no bridesmaids. But actually, I don't think they cared, because the Bible tells us that Isaac loved her. He was a 40-year-old groom, and he loved his beautiful wife, making this the first time the Bible proclaims marital love. However, despite the apparently love-filled relationship, after 20 years together, Rebekah, like her mother-in-law Sarah, is unable to conceive until Isaac prays and God intervenes, and Rebekah becomes pregnant. But during her pregnancy, she felt struggling going on in her womb and was concerned about it. So because Rebekah had a personal relationship with God, she asked him about it, and he responded to her. And he tells her that 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Well, this was a very personal answer from the Lord to Rebekah, and she never forgot it. And although Rebekah loved her husband and twin sons dearly, the truth is, Isaac loved the elder twin Esau more than Jacob, while Jacob, the younger one, became Rebekah's favorite. You know, over the ages, Bible readers often think of Rebekah as someone full of cunning and deceit, as I said earlier. But let's take another look. See, she knows something of divine destiny, having heard directly from God that the older twin will serve the younger. And as a woman of the covenant and like her mother-in-law Sarah before her, she will intervene and try and help God to make sure that God's promise takes precedence. And this is how she'll do it. In his old age, Isaac has gone blind, and so he summons Esau, who is the oldest, to receive his blessing. But before he does that, he asks him to make him a meal. Now Rebekah overhears this, and intent on having her younger son receive the blessing instead, tells Jacob that she will make the meal for him to bring to his father, and that he is to put on his brother's clothes and stick some goat skins on his arms to represent Esau's hair. Apparently Esau was a very hairy guy. And pretend that he's Esau. Well, the trick works, and Jacob receives the blessing and the mantle of leadership of their people. Yep, Rebekah deliberately deceived Esau and Isaac, two of those closest to her. And her ambitious dreams for her favorite son strained her marriage, lost her the respect and esteem of her oldest son, and eventually led to her favorite son Jacob being forced to flee town to escape his brother's anger and fearing for his life. Sadly, 20 years later, Jacob will return with his wives and kids, only to discover Rebekah has died. She never saw her beloved son again, nor got to hold his children in her arms. The thing is, no matter what you think of her, Rebekah walked with a great measure of faith and trust in God, even when she didn't know what the future held. Hardworking and generous, her faith was so great she left her home forever to marry a man she'd never seen or met. However, like so many of us, Rebekah struggled with fully trusting God to come through on the promises he made, and trying to help God's world to emerge, something she didn't need to do, took a huge toll on the woman who had once been a gentle-spirited girl at a well. But if that's true, then how could this deceptive, manipulative woman be used by God in his redemptive story? Well, without her actions, the story of God's people would not have been the same. See, she trusted God enough to leave her home and her family behind, to marry a stranger in a faraway land. And without her courage to do that, Esau and Jacob wouldn't have been born. And her grandson Joseph, the last patriarch, would never have been born either. The truth is, like Rebekah, we all have great strengths and profound weaknesses. But here's what I think. Rather than glossing over our failures and trying to fit our lives into a predefined understanding of what makes a godly woman or man, for that matter, this story teaches us that God uses all kinds of people to accomplish his purposes. Women and men, just like you and me. And hallelujah for that. Now, please stay safe. Keep wearing your mask and please get vaccinated. Know I love you and I pray for you every day. Be blessed. Peace.